Imagine you're sweating in a mosh pit at a hardcore punk show, right? The bass is just rattling your teeth.
Oh, yeah.
But then you look around and you realize you are surrounded by the towering stone walls of an Austro-Hungarian military barrack.
Right.
Or picture standing under the stars, watching Kraftwerk perform, and the acoustics that are amplifying those synthesizers are actually being provided by the completely intact walls of a 2,000-year-old Roman amphitheater.
It is such a wild visual.
It really is. Welcome to the Deep Dive, everyone. I am so thrilled you're joining us today because we are taking all these archaeological handbooks, underground nightlife schedules, and local gastronomy guides we've gathered, and we are heading to a place that honestly just shatters the usual rules of time and history.
It really does. Because usually when you visit an ancient city, there is a very clear boundary.
Like a literal fence.
Exactly. You have the modern city where people actually live, and then you have the ancient ruins safely cordoned off behind velvet ropes and thick glass cases. You look, but you definitely don't touch.
Yeah, the past is basically treated as a museum.
We're taught to keep our history neatly categorized, frozen in a specific era, while the present just sort of tiptoes around it.
But then you step into the coastal city of Pula, Croatia, and that boundary just evaporates.
Completely.
Our mission today is to equip you with the ultimate historical, cultural, and practical guide to this city. Because this isn't just a place with old rocks. I mean, before the Romans even arrived, it was a settlement built by an ancient local tribe, part of the ancient Istrian hill forts.
Right, the history goes incredibly deep.
And for the next 3,000 years, every single empire that marched through used the city as a living stage.
Which forces a complete rethinking of what a historical monument is actually meant to be. Instead of preserving history in amber, Pula treats it as an active participant in daily life.
Let's start with the most massive example of that, Pula's crown jewel, the Roman amphitheater, which locals just call the Arena.
Oh, it is breathtaking.
It was built in the 1st century AD under Emperor Vespasian. And that's the same emperor who commissioned the Colosseum in Rome. Pula's Arena is the 6th largest in the world, and originally it held about 20,000 spectators.
Yeah, and the archaeological records highlight something uniquely spectacular about it, too.
Right, the walls.
Yeah. It is the only remaining Roman amphitheater on the planet to have all 4 of its outer stone towers and all 3 Roman architectural rows completely intact.
Which is just crazy when you think about how old it is.
Yeah.
But those intact towers, they reveal a level of engineering brilliance that goes far beyond just, simple aesthetics.
Oh, absolutely. They weren't just decorative columns. Inside, they housed these steep stone stairs. But more importantly, the tops of the towers contained very specific carved grooves.
Grooves, like for holding something.
Exactly. Those grooves were designed to anchor massive wooden masts. And the Romans used those masts to suspend a gigantic canvas roof over the crowd.
A velarium.
Yes, a velarium.
So they basically had a retractable roof stadium in the 1st century.
They really did.
But how on earth did they operate a massive canvas roof over 20,000 people without modern motors or steel cables?
Well, they leveraged the most advanced wind manipulators of their era, the Roman Navy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Pula was a strategic port, so the local administrators brought in elite sailors from the imperial fleet. These sailors used complex maritime rigging, pulleys, and ropes to stretch the canvas and protect the audience from the blistering Adriatic summer sun.
That is an astonishing logistical flex. So they basically built an inverted sailing ship over a stadium.
Pretty much.
That is wild.
Yeah.
But obviously they weren't hosting basketball games under that roof. This was the venue for gladiator fights and wild animal hunts.
Right. And we have to ask why the Romans poured so much engineering capital into a provincial coastal town. Building something this massive wasn't just about bloody entertainment.
Right, it was a political tool.
Highly calculated. In Roman society, the bread and circuses concept wasn't just a metaphor. It was the primary way to manage a volatile, heavily armed, free citizenry.
Because the historical texts mention that citizens were given actual free grain, wine, and olive oil during the games, right?
Yes. Local politicians and wealthy elites funded these spectacular, violent games out of their own pockets. It was a massive wealth redistribution event designed to act as a pressure release valve for the working class.
You distract the populace from their mundane struggles.
You feed them, entertain them, and in return, you secure their political loyalty and prevent riots.
Fast forward to today, and the gladiators have obviously been gone since the 5th century. For hundreds of years, the arena just sat there, People grazed sheep in it, they held medieval fairs, and occasionally scavenged the seating for building materials.
As you do with ancient monuments.
Right, but it experienced this massive cultural resurrection starting in 1954 when it became the home of the Pula Film Festival.
Which is huge. They even award the National Film Prize there, the Golden Arena.
Which paved the way for its current iteration. It is arguably the world's most spectacular open-air music venue.
Without a doubt.
Looking at the concert lineup for the summer of 2026, it is just mind-blowing. You have Lenny Kravitz, David Byrne, Kraftwerk, Nick Cave, and Judas Priest all performing inside this 2,000-year-old limestone structure.
And the acoustics of that elliptical design are perfectly suited for modern sound systems. I mean, hearing electronic music pioneers like Kraftwerk synthesize beats in the exact spot where Roman emperors once sat, it's a surreal collision of eras.
It bridges millennia in a single chord.
Yeah.
But while the arena survived beautifully, exploring the rest of ancient Pula reveals a much more chaotic story.
Much more chaotic.
As different empires rose and fell, the Romans, the Venetians, the French, the Austro-Hungarians, the city essentially became a massive architectural recycling bin.
Pula is a city built literally out of its own skeleton. The new rulers would constantly cannibalize the old structures to build the new ones.
But there are a few stunning pieces that survive that recycling process. The Arch of the Sergai is one.
Oh, that's a fascinating one.
Yeah, it was funded and built entirely by a noble woman named Salvia Postuma to honor her family, which was incredibly rare for a woman in antiquity to wield that kind of architectural power.
And it has these beautiful Hellenistic details, so much so that Michelangelo actually traveled there to study and sketch it.
Wow. And then you have the Temple of Augustus, right in the main city square. That temple survived intact until 1945, when an Allied bomb scored a direct hit and leveled it.
Completely destroyed it.
Yeah, but over the next 2 years, archaeologists painstakingly reconstructed it piece by piece, like a giant, ancient 3D jigsaw puzzle.
That reconstruction required a deep modern reverence for the past. But if we wind the clock back to the 1630s and look up at the central hill of the city, we see a completely ruthless approach to history.
You're talking about the Cahandle Fortress, because this piece of the history actually made me wince when I read the sources.
Yes, pretty brutal.
In the 1630s, the 30 Years' War is tearing Europe apart. The Venetians control Pula, and they desperately need to protect their naval interests from the Spanish fleet. So they bring in a French military engineer, Antoine de Ville, to build a massive star-shaped fortress on the hill.
And from a military standpoint, controlling the high ground with a modern artillery fortress was just a non-negotiable requirement for Venice's survival.
Sure, I get that. But to get the stone for this fort, de Ville dismantled Pula's large Roman theater. He didn't just borrow a few loose rocks. He blatantly erased a massive, priceless, ancient Roman theater.
He really did.
That is like tearing down the Louvre to build a parking garage.
Yeah.
And justifying it because you really needed the bricks.
He used it as a free, pre-cut quarry. The theater was already abandoned and crumbling, but he wiped it off the map. And when de Ville was criticized by historians of his own era for destroying antiquity, his defense was incredibly arrogant.
What did he say again?
He wrote, "We have given this theater a new form and moved it slightly uphill."
Moved it slightly uphill.
Yeah.